I don't always drink scotch, but when I do, it's often in front of this YouTube channel. Welcome. I'm D. Hicks. This is the HILT Academy. We put together a bunch of ideas that all result in high-impact leadership training. Glad you're here. Like I always say, leadership is hard, but sometimes it's harder than it needs to be, right? Sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. Here is one of the most common ways that I've discovered, I've even done it myself, that we as leaders make our jobs harder than it needs to be. And you know, when I talk about leaders, I'm talking about whatever your position or title happens to be. Maybe you're a manager, maybe you're a director, maybe you're a supervisor. In some way you lead people, you influence them to go, instead of in the direction that they're going, to go in a better direction. That means you're a leader and you're effective at it. So, what is that one thing? What is that thing we do that I want to talk about today that makes our job harder than it needs to be? Get ready. We listen to everyone. That's the one thing we do very commonly that makes our job a lot harder than it needs to be. Now stay with me on this. We try to be good listeners. We've been told, develop your listening skills. Make sure you listen to everyone. We try to be inclusive. We try to value everyone's perspective and everyone's opinion, and we try to be open to feedback, right? Doesn't that sound good? Careful. We should not listen to everyone about everything. Be careful who you listen to. Be careful who you trust in this way. Recently, I was on the phone with a dear friend who's the CEO of a complex organization going through some significant merger changes. And in that conversation, he described to me how discouraged he was because of a bunch of feedback he was getting from the troops, he likes to call them. It's not a military organization, but he calls them the troops all the time. Who knows why? The troops are restless, he was saying things like that. I'm getting all kinds of feedback from people about how awful things are and how rotten things are. And it was very discouraging to him. So I said, so how many people of the 1,800 that you've got in your organization are talking to you like this? And he thought for a few minutes and he said, there's 3 or 4. And I said, anybody else talking to you about this? He said, no, it's 3 or 4. But they're reporting that it's coming from a whole bunch of other people. And I said, have you actually reached out to people who are happy with the changes and talked directly to them? And he said, no, I don't think there are any. Well, hit the pause button, Snookums, I said. It's kind of important that you're very careful who you listen to. We want to be sure that we are open. We want to be the kind of leaders who genuinely value other perspectives. But not every person's perspective is valuable. In fact, here's a little secret. Some people's perspectives are actually destructive. Think about that for just a moment. We shouldn't trust their perspective. Do not listen to people who aren't in the arena, to use Teddy Roosevelt's phrase. They haven't even been there. They haven't even done that. They haven't experienced it. Don't listen to people who aren't the actual source of the thing they're reporting to you. Don't listen to people who see themselves as experts in everything. Don't listen to folks who haven't gotten an idea about what it means to actually engage. They have no idea about what it takes. They haven't even given this new thing you're trying to do their best effort. They're probably utterly selfish. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to people who speak for others in big generalities. Careful, don't listen to folks who've got hidden agendas. And you've been around the block, so have I. We can spot those people. We may not know what their hidden agenda is, but we know there's something duplicitous there, something self-serving. Furthermore, don't listen to people who are not willing to engage in making a solution, in making it better. They try to delegate solutions upward or sideways to someone else, and they do that all the time. And they wait for the perfect solution, and then they'll stop criticizing, and by the way, that never comes. Another thing, I don't listen to people who aren't curious, who aren't asking really good questions that they don't know the answer to. I don't listen to people who are not willing themselves to genuinely listen to others. I don't listen to people who've never changed their mind. That's just the way it is. That's the way I think. That's all it is. As though the way they think is the truth. As though that specific perspective has descended from God on high, and that's exactly the way it is. They're not missing a thing. I don't listen to those folks. They're tempting to listen to because they're usually pretty good at communicating, but I don't listen to them. And I don't listen to people who are lazy and don't follow through with their commitments. They make promises, they say they're going to show up and they're going to do something, and they don't do it over and over and over. And then whenever asked about it, they always have an excuse, not a reason. And you know the difference between an excuse and a reason. I'm late for work because there was a 4-car pileup on the freeway and there was no way to get off the freeway, and my cell phone was dead and I forgot my charger. That's why I didn't call you. That's a reason. I'm late for work 3 times in a row and that's because of traffic? No, that's an excuse. It's I don't know how to do it and therefore I haven't tried. Excuse. Okay? These folks are ones that I don't listen to, are the ones who are always giving excuses, and they're not giving reasons, quickly followed up with solutions so that that reason doesn't become a problem in the future. So who are the kind of people that we should listen to? Because we don't want to be alone. We don't want to be isolated off in a corner, building our own little world in our mind and never have it challenged and never understand the impact of our decisions or of our indecisions. Who are the kind of people that you and I should listen to? Well, listen carefully to people who care about the mission more than they care about their own personal comfort. Of course, that assumes you have a very clear and compelling mission. If you don't, you know how this works. If I don't know what your mission is, I'm going to put my own mission in place of your mission. And my mission will probably be about my own personal comfort. So you got to have a mission. And so listen to people who, if you have a mission, care more about the accomplishment of that really clear, compelling mission than they do about their own personal comfort. And they've shown you that in their behavior. I also want to listen to people who are curious, genuinely curious. They want to know how things really are, and they don't justify their answers. They're curious about how things work and how hard things really are and what was it like to do it in the past and what's it like to be you in your shoes. They're genuinely curious. They ask a lot of questions, and they don't ask prosecutorial questions. They just ask genuine questions. I like to listen carefully to people who speak for themselves and are hesitant to speak for other people. In fact, even when given charge to speak for other people, they usually won't. They'll say, no, this is my perspective. I'm not giving voice to someone else's perspective. They're grown-ups, they can talk for themselves. Listen to those people. They speak from experience. It's authentic and direct experience, not from theory or something they have read about. It's an idea to them. No, they speak from experience. And they're humble. Now, humility is an interesting thing to understand. I've come to think of it as a humble person is an amalgam of curiosity. I don't really know what this means. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the impact is, and I want to learn. Curious and confident. And put those two together, and they're like epoxy glue that forms a third element, which is humility. What are they confident in? They're confident in what they have learned and what they haven't learned from their experience. They're confident in the wisdom of other people that they have learned from and relied on that have gone before them. Confidence, curiosity. That's humility. I also like to listen carefully to people who have failed, and they know they have failed, and they are desperately trying to learn from that, or have already learned from that failure and change their mental models or their values or their behaviors as a result of that failure. People who've never failed, kind of hard to listen to. Probably shouldn't listen to them. And they've achieved results. They've actually succeeded in the thing they're talking about, in the perspective that they've got. Those people are very well worth listening to. And so you and I, as influencers and leaders of people, want to cultivate relationships with those people that I just described. Work hard at developing those relationships. They're incredibly valuable to us. They are, like I've said before, they're like mirrors that reflect us and our behavior and the impact of our behavior back to us. They're also a little bit like telescopes, helping us to see far off in a distance, and like microscopes, helping us to see down to the granular. Cultivate those relationships. They care more about you and your success than they do about your feelings. And they probably, if they work with you, they care more about the accomplishment of your mission that you two have together than they do about their own comfort and your comfort. They're worth listening to. Do you have those kind of relationships? These are the people who have been in the thick of it. There are not a lot of them because we live in a culture right now that is kind of an Instagram culture where we curate carefully our images to make ourselves look like we've been through the thick of it when we really haven't. It's sort of like the stone-washed or torn jeans version of a person. You know, you can buy jeans that are all ripped up like you've been under a car working on changing a transmission already. And you don't even know what a transmission is, right? That's a fake look. It's not authentic. They're fine. They're kind of cool style. I like them. I don't own them, but I think they're kind of cool style. But that's an illustration of how we're trying to put ourselves forward as something that we have never genuinely experienced. Those are not the people we listen to. The ones who actually have busted their knuckles, the ones who have worked hard to accomplish something and failed and tried again, these are the ones we want to listen to. They have a depth, a richness, and a humility about them. One of my all-time favorite presidents in the United States was Teddy Roosevelt. He was back around the president at the turn of the century. And after he was out of office in April 23rd, 1910, when he was no longer president, he had traveled to Europe. And he was asked to go to the Grand Amphitheater at the University of Paris and give a speech. You've heard of this speech before. He traveled on the Orient Express with his son, whose name was Kermit, and he presented a speech which he entitled Citizenship in a Republic. It's a beautiful speech. Go find the whole speech. It's well worth reading. And reading again if you care about the broader scope of where your nation or our nation is going. In it, Teddy Roosevelt said, "It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done a better job. Credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually thrive and strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms and the great devotions, and who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." These are the people we want to listen to. Curate those people carefully. They will make you significantly more effective as a leader. In fact, moreover, what I'm suggesting is that you and I need to choose the people we trust like this, the people we lean on, the people we listen to, the people we rely on, carefully. Otherwise, we'll end up making our work a whole lot harder than it needs to be. So, there you go. That's a small change, but it makes a big difference right away. Is there anyone you need to stop listening to? No, I'm not suggesting you just say, shut up, move along. You can listen, but make sure inside of your head you're saying, I'm not valuing that perspective very much. And then actively seek out people who have a direct perspective on whatever change you're trying to accomplish and on the effectiveness you're trying to achieve as an organization. You're doing great work. I know many of you. I've seen your names as subscribers, and I know what you're doing, and I know your work is incredibly valuable, unbelievably valuable. So, if this was valuable to you, would you share it with somebody who else might enjoy this as well? There's a little share button down there on YouTube. They make it super easy. You click on that and you can grab the link, or you can send it in an email or something like that. And we're not going to track you down. That's not how that works. It's just easy for you to share this. So, and it also, if you're not subscribed, it kind of helps us out. It helps us know whether or not this is valuable. Hit that subscribe button, and of course it's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. It just keeps you on a list so that you will know whenever we've done something that might be helpful to you. And then hit that bell as well. So the bell notifies you through YouTube or through your email that we have another one of these coming out. They're out every week. Every week we got a whole bunch more things we've learned, a lot of it from you, that we want to share with you. So, like I said, you're doing good work. Keep it up. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this scotch and listen to the silence for a while. Here's to you.